Welcome to the Donna Seebo Show. Donna is an international mental practitioner, award-winning author, counselor, speaker, teacher, and radio TV personality. Dedicated to empowering others through her mental skills, she also features authors and experts from all over the world to share their knowledge and experience with you, the listening audience. Now, let's join Donna and her guests. Here's Donna.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to an hour of mind power. This is Donna Seebo, and if you're like me, located in an area where winter is really showing his stuff, well, it's a time to cozy in, get comfortable, and to just enjoy this next hour. We are going to be traveling via the airwaves of technology to an area that I live in, and that's the Pacific Northwest. My guest today, Karyn King, is a woman that I had the opportunity to chat with for a few minutes at a book expo that was held in the Seattle-Tacoma area about a month or so ago. And her book is titled The San Juan Islands and Beyond. It's a photographer's journey, and I sure wish I could give you the visual because her photography is just beautiful. But I want to welcome Karyn to the show. Hi, Karyn.
Hi, Donna. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I was so impressed with your photography when I met you at the book expo that was in the Seattle-Tacoma area. Now, you have a real passion for photography, but my question to you is, what is it that really triggered this? You have a particular perspective that you try to gather when you're doing your work, and I think every photographer sort of has a signature, just like every writer has a signature style. When did you fall in love with the magic of the visual image?
Well, that happened when I was about 8 years old with my first Brownie camera. I was given that when I was just a child, and I enjoyed that as a hobby. And in my 20s, I went on to actually exhibit some of my photography. And my love of the ocean, I blended my love of the ocean with my photography. And that's when it started, and it continued for a while. And about 5 years ago, something, pardon the pun, snapped, where I decided to pick up my camera again and see the beauty of the Northwest through the lens of my camera. And the Northwest, to me, is the most beautiful place on earth. And when we were flying over, when we came in here in 1989, I remember looking down and seeing all the water and all the opportunities that lay before me for my photography work. But I didn't really start focusing closely on it until about 5 years ago.
Now, with this, as I said, there's sort of a signature style that you have, and you're mentioning that when you flew in 1989, you just had this overwhelming connection with the area because you love water. And I think a lot of people that live in the Pacific Northwest identify with it. I mean, I am a mountains, water, and green tree type of gal. And the Pacific Northwest affords all of that. And it is absolutely awesome. And there is so much diversity here that you would not necessarily expect because you get locked into certain paradigms. And your camera captures a lot of this diversity. One of the components that I just thought was absolutely phenomenal was your photography of the orcas. And, of course, we have Orcas Island here. When did your love affair with the orcas begin, and what time of the year do you go out to photograph them?
Well, the orcas, my fascination with the orcas began probably when we moved here, because I'd never seen anything like it. And they're so dressed up. They look like they're wearing a tuxedo. There's humpback whales, there's gray whales, there's blue whales. But the orcas, I feel a connection to them. And when when they present themselves to me and I'm able to photograph them, it's an experience that is difficult to describe in words because the feeling is almost palpable, as if you're part of their family. They're welcoming you in to their family. They're allowing you to view them. And it took quite a while before I actually saw one breach and then spy hop and tail slap and speed swim. It took quite a while before I started to understand what the patterns are. And when I first saw them, it was in June. And they have, I don't want to say they have a schedule, but they do come into the area, the resident orcas. They do start circling the islands in the May, June, July, August, September, October. They're still seen throughout the islands, but rarely in the winter months. But if you go in the spring, when there are three pods, the J, K, and L resident, they meet up, and that's when they get excited to see each other. They jump out of the water, and they do all these other kinds of behavior that you see that I have in the book. And it's rare to capture that because they are fairly unpredictable. And when they jump out of the water, you hear a whoosh, and you turn your camera to look for it, and you see a big splash. So I have thousands and thousands of big orca splashes. But it's of course, it took quite a few pictures to get some of the images that you see in the book. And
yes, and they really are dramatic. They just are absolutely captivating. You've got an image of a whale blow where there's two orcas side by side. You have the spy hopping, as it's called, and breaching. You made a statement that I thought was a fascinating one, and that is that it's so personal. When you are out photographing them, and you said when they allow you to see them, and I have heard this statement made by other people, and having had the opportunity to be part of a whale watching group at one time and being on an Alaskan cruise where there was a pod of whales. Now, they weren't the orcas, but where there was a pod of whales that were bringing their babies. The mamas were bringing their babies up into Alaskan waters, and they hadn't seen them for years. It really is quite an emotional connection, and I can relate to what you're saying, and I don't know that everybody feels that. But when you see this demonstration of this phenomenal mammal doing its action in front of you, I think your statement is quite a powerful one, because many times among the native cultures, they will say that. They'll say the animals will give you the gift. If you're willing to accept it on their terms, they will come to you. They will let you know that you have the privilege of entering into their space. And I think your words are very well stated relative to this. And I find that people, when they're out in the wild like that, this is something that they'll often say. It's so difficult to describe it, but I was given the opportunity. And that's what I think is reflected through so much of your photography. Now, Orcas Island obviously got the name because of the orcas being there. Is that where you got a great many of these phenomenal photographs of these magnificent animals?
Well, one of the things in my book is I have a map that shows you exactly where I took the photographs. And Orcas Island, I don't know if it's been named because of the orcas or because of the shape of the island, may look like an orca. But a lot of the images were taken in Rosario Strait and Harrow Strait, and they do circle around the islands and those around the perimeter mostly. And when they do go up north, I did catch some of them up north. There's a 2-page spread on the breaching with a sailboat in the picture. Those were taken north of Orcas Island. And it really is a privilege to be in their presence. And when they do, like you said, when they do present themselves, it is a gift. And one of the things I try to show in my images, and like you say, my signature style, is the drama of the Northwest. When you look at my sunsets, they're dramatic. And the wildlife, I try to catch the drama of them. And there's a definite feel to the pictures that are in the book. And it gives you you're not just looking at a picture. And I think that's what the response I've been getting from people who look at the book is they say, this isn't just a picture. I'm getting a feeling about this space, this place, this animal, this sunset, this time of year. And that's what I think makes my photography stand out that's different from others, is that you actually get a feeling connected to the image.
The Pacific Northwest is never a quiet place in a true sense. Nature is always on the go. She's always got drama happening on one level or another, and I guess that could be said for just about everywhere. But you can go into places like Yellowstone, and during the winter, you're not going to see a heck of a lot of movement. You might see a wildcat every once in a while, or you might see the buffalo. But really, it's pretty quiet, and the elk are pretty quiet. But here in the Pacific Northwest, we have the seals, we have all kinds of critters, and I think it's because we are somewhat more temperate than other areas. But you have Popeye, the seal. Now, you say he's a resident seal. Where does Popeye live? And he is quite a character, and you've caught him, you've captured him. Who is he? How did he get his name? And where is he?
Popeye, we found out, is a girl. And they named her probably before they knew that, and many, many years ago. And Popeye lives in the area of Friday Harbor Marina. And the way they found out she was a girl is one spring she had pups with her. And that's when they knew she was a girl. And she hangs out in the marina. There's a fish market in the marina. And they feed her from time to time. And in the summertime, when we have a boat, and when we're in the marina and the barbecues come out in the late afternoon, early evening, you see her foraging, going from boat to boat, and wondering if someone's going to throw her a fish. And if you look at the picture that's side by side, one is with her looking straight at me, and the other one is her giving us a big splash. She's demanding a fish. And we don't feed wildlife. We never feed her. But others do. They will feed her a fish, and so she doesn't know which boats are going to feed her. So the ones that don't, we get a big splash from her. And I think the way she got her name Popeye is one of her eyes is a little clouded over. And so it gives her a unique look. But she's a big character in Friday Harbor on San Juan Island.
Amazing. Just amazing. You also have a photo of a river otter